to week 8. You are officially 2 months into this journey of pregnancy by the end of this week. Your baby is already half an inch long, and if you enjoy the fruit reference, your baby is approximately the size of a raspberry. Your sweet child is beginning to develop details of their face, one of which is that tiny little nose that is starting to become visible. In addition, the retina of your baby's eye is forming now, which means that your baby's eye color is being fashioned under their already developed eyelid. It is amazing to know that by the end of this week, every single organ and body system has started developing. Sweet details of those arms and legs are developing also, with their hands, fingers, feet, and toes starting to form into shape. It will only be a matter of time till your new child can grasp onto your finger as you are feeding them, while those adorable little eyes gaze on you with admiration and love. Their tiny limbs are making spontaneous movements also, helping them learn to soon navigate their surroundings. Your baby's tiny heart has now developed into a 4-chambered heart, which looks exactly like yours, just on a smaller level now. Those sweet, tiny bones are becoming firmer also each day. In addition, baby's sex organs have started to develop this week too. It may be 10 or 12 weeks until you hear the joyful exclamation of the ultrasound tech announcing a boy or a girl, but inside, everything is already moving into place. If you are choosing to find out, you can even find out much sooner now, like in just a few days, because science has progressed so far to be able to run a blood test on the mother to see what the baby's sex is. So if you want to, you can ask your provider for the non-invasive prenatal blood test or NIPT test that you are privileged to do so. And you are privileged to do so. The way this test works is it looks for the male Y chromosome in your female blood. If it is present, the doctors can determine that the baby is most likely a boy. And if they do not find this marker, the baby is most likely a girl. Just know that this test not only looks for the sex of the baby, the blood work will also show potential chromosomal problems with the baby. This is not a guarantee that the chromosomal issue is present in your baby, just like the test cannot guarantee the baby is a boy or a girl. But it is a test that may lead you to worry or feel disappointment in your new child. This knowledge allows the doctors to recommend an abortion based on this information. Now, not every doctor will do this, but many of them do not view life in sacrificial form as we are called to do as Catholics. So there are reasons to opt out of this test and wait for the ultrasound. And there are reasons to get this blood test done also. You are not required to get this test done at all. It is up to your own personal choice. I will just leave you with this thought that if you are going to accept the beautiful baby that God has given you, believing that He knows what is best for your calling you into closer union with Him, then the knowledge of these potential chromosomal disorders will not better prepare you to care for your sweet baby as a newborn. Yes, it will give you more time to familiarize yourself with the disorder, but it could also be an additional cause to worry for the next 7 months, anticipating for something that was only going to distract you from the joy and appreciation for the life growing inside. The choice again is yours, and with this knowledge, you are given a lot to consider. The timing of this test is very important, and it really should not be done before 10 weeks, or there is even more of a chance of inaccuracy. When considering things that may impact your baby's future development, please stay away from meat that is not fully cooked, and this includes lunch meat. Lunch meat should be cooked for an additional 30 seconds in the microwave before consuming to protect your baby from any bacteria that may still be present in the meat. Did you know that lunch meat is normally only cooked to a rare or medium rare doneness before being sliced and packaged? It's probably something that most of us never consider, and that's why the additional 30 seconds in the microwave is crucial in making sure it is free of bacteria. Yes, it's another sacrifice, but if you do not like hot lunch meat, then you can put it in the fridge to eat later. Just write on the package to remind yourself that you have already warmed it up. Now, you may not even want to think about food because you may be feeling worse by the day. And if this is how you feel, then I sympathize greatly with you, because this sacrifice is very real for many of us at this stage. If you are sick and feel like you cannot function despite needing to function for a variety of reasons, you can ask your provider for a medicine called Diclegis. It is a prescription medicine that is actually pretty natural in form and was just developed to get rid of the nausea. It is a white pill with a pinkish purple outline of a pregnant mother on the small round pill. What is in this medicine is B12 and Unisom, both of which can be purchased over the counter at the pharmacy and will also help do the exact same thing with the nausea as taking these two medications separately. It is completely safe for the baby, and I have opted to use this with a few of my pregnancies when I just could not handle the nausea with our own family's life circumstances at the time. Insurance will sometimes pay for the pill, so it is best to try and see if you want it. It is best to try and see if your insurance will pay for it. And remember that the Unisom helps with sleep, and the B12 gives you extra nutrients that combats the nausea. How amazing it is to ponder the time that you have already been pregnant for, and how quickly the time is passing. Pregnancy seems to go fast for everyone around us, except for us mothers, since we are in the thick of experiencing the symptoms that accompany the carrying of a child. Approximately 75% of mothers experience nausea symptoms. So if you are one of that high percentage, just know that although you may know someone who is truly enjoying pregnancy with little to no symptoms, there is most certainly someone out there who is feeling worse than you. So take some time and offer all of your discomfort up for another mother who may truly need your prayers. You may feel worse all day and night, contrary to what is always implied in the words of morning sickness. I always assumed that by this name, pregnant women would only feel sick for a few hours in the morning when their stomach was empty, though I was so wrong. It can be every moment of everyday sickness that is not alleviated. I have found that the only way to alleviate this sickness is by physically eating. I think the words are a little misleading, but maybe if we were told the potential was that you would be sick every moment of the day, then a person may choose to skip this wonderful part of life. If you are choosing to deal with the pregnancy nausea, there are ways of lessening the severity without any pill or medication, and that includes eating or while chewing and swallowing very often. If you're constantly chewing, then it may seem one could assume that we're going to gain a lot of weight. Well, not necessarily. There are ways around this, and one I have found is to chew on ice. Now make sure your ice is softened by soaking in water if you're going to do this with whole ice cubes. Or if you have the ability to purchase a soft ice maker they give in the type of fast food drinks, that is the best type of ice. These countertop ice makers are not outrageously expensive as you might assume. For just $1 a day for the next 2 months of potential sickness, you can get a good soft ice maker on Amazon. So again, if you're really struggling and have the available funds, you may want to look into one of these to help you. Chewing on ice mimics the eating mechanisms in your body and tricks your stomach into thinking it needs to work. Chewing ice also helps keep your hydration up, especially if you are struggling to get enough water in or just don't like the taste of water. Did you know that you can freeze flavored drinks into ice cubes if you really despise water that much? And this can also help with the nausea. Now, the one downside to this is you really can't talk while chewing on ice. Although if you are feeling extremely sick, then you may not want to be talking anyway. Finding little ways such as these is so beneficial for getting to the point in pregnancy where the baby's placenta is developed enough to give you some relief at your nausea symptoms. There are many little tricks like this to help you through this time of joyful suffering for your child if you just seek out the advice. This stage of pregnancy can be very hard, especially if you do not have a lot of support. So, if you are struggling, try to speak with some of those that love you and inform them of how badly you are feeling. Many people believe this is just the art of complaining, though the reality is it can also be an act of humility to admit what we are experiencing. We must remain humble to remain close to God and to be like little children. What do little children do when they hurt? They run to their mom or their dad. So we must also run to our heavenly parents and also to the people on earth that we have chosen to and also for the person on earth that we have chosen to partner with in our life, our husband. We must tell him how we feel and rely on his support. As husband and provider, he is there to serve his family, and you are the mother, and you as the mother are carrying his family within your womb. I am not talking of a big show to get his attention, but it is important to find a time to speak with him and explain all that you are experiencing. A caring and compassionate man who is emulating Jesus' suffering on the cross in every moment of his day should be happy to help you in this time of need. If this is not the person your husband is in this moment on his journey, then praying for him is what is best. You are your husband's best bet at becoming the man he was created to be by the end of his life. That is the goal as husband and wife, to help each other get to heaven. And although the road may not always be easy, it is essentially the purpose of this sacrament of marriage, along with bringing children into existence. Our husbands cannot help us if we do not ask. We may want the people closest to us to pick up on our subtleties and offer our help without asking. But most times, this just isn't reality. Our husband and our mom seem to be the best person to be there for us in our time of need, though sometimes we will get very lucky to find a compassionate figure, maybe in our mother-in-law or a friendly neighbor, that wants to help that wants to help to give us what we need with no strings attached. Though many times we will not have a devoted husband or mother, and it may only be with our heavenly family that we find this type of devotion. So, if you are saddened by the state of those around you, and if you have humbly gone to your husband, only to be disappointed in his response, it is best, instead of running to friends to complain, to run to our Heavenly Father, to our heavenly family. Pour out your heart to God, Mary, Jesus, as well as the saints. Seek refuge in those who can truly offer assistance. Maybe this is your call to become more united to your heavenly family. A lot of people believe that those that have gone before us can do nothing for us, and quite the contrary is true. Those that have dwelt on this earth and suffered understand what we are going through and want to help. They are the most compassionate because they've been there. So this may be the best time to research the saints and find one that you can read about and see how they became closer to God. There are countless saints that were mothers and understand what it is like to be alone in that calling. Your loneliness may only be for the time being, as you learn to unite yourself with a saint, Mary, or Jesus, as you learn to grow in holiness with your heavenly family, rather than with many friendships on earth. Yes, tactile friendships on earth are great if you have them. But if you feel a gap forming in these friendships based on fun alone and not furthering your spirituality, then it may be time to seek out refuge in different friends. And if you struggle to find those, then God and the saints alone. There are many different Catholic mother saints, those in wonderfully supportive marriages, like Saint Zélie, who bear the doctor of the church, Saint Therese, as well as many other religious children. Saint Gianna also was a doctor who eventually gave her life for her fourth child, which gave her a saintly title. Saint Rita of Cassia, who was not in a wonderful marriage, but nevertheless bare 2 sons to her abusive husband and offered her prayers for the salvation of her closest 3. With her prayers, they died on the better path, and then she joined an order as a nun to devote the rest of her life to Christ. Then there's Saint Monica, who helped convert her husband to become a Christian shortly before his death, and also with her prayers helped her son, who was a rebellious youth, to transform his life to become Saint Augustine, doctor of the church. Regardless of who you may feel closer to as a mother within your earthly struggles, I hope you feel closer to one of these saints after learning about them. In your low or high times within pregnancy, I hope you find refuge in reading some of these saints or another that you may have found. May God give you the grace to bear all that you are personally suffering with. I will leave you with a quote of Saint Pope John Paul II. Motherhood involves a special communion with the mystery of life as it develops in the mother's womb. The mother is filled with wonder at this mystery of life and understands with unique intuition what is happening inside her. In the light of the beginning, the mother accepts and loves as a person the child she is carrying in her womb. This unique contact with the new human being developing within her gives rise to an attitude towards human beings, not only towards her own child, but every human being, which profoundly marks the woman's personality. Have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful week.